Hey, how's it going? It's Sam Frost here from Easy PPC Tutorials. In today's short video, I wanted to discuss whether or not you should advertise on your brand name and kind of reasons why you might want to advertise on your brand name and why you might not want to do so. So, what I've done is I've jumped on Google and I've searched for Pizza Hut. I'm not the biggest Pizza Hut fan, but it works as an example. Here, where I'm based, Christchurch, New Zealand, when I search Pizza Hut, and I don't have an ad blocker enabled, I see an ad for Pizza Hut, a branded ad above Pizza Hut's organic listing. Now, why would you want to do this? Is it a good idea? When should you do it? When should you not? There are a few things to think about. In terms of whether or not you should advertise for your brand name, basically, my view is that it's probably worth testing. The key thing in Google Ads, though, is to test it in a standalone campaign. This is really the key point. So, a lot of advertisers wind up advertising on their brand name terms without really realizing it's happening because of the way Google matches keywords with the match type system to search terms that users are inputting. Businesses can wind up advertising for their brand name without even really realizing it's going on, and that activity is amalgamated into one campaign or one ad group, and it actually has a really big impact on how things perform in your campaign. And I can give you an example from an old job I used to work at. We sold sports supplements like protein powder and those kind of things. And when I inherited the account, we took over from an agency, or I took over from an agency and sort of brought it in house and did some analysis. It looked like all of our campaigns were performing really, really well. The brand name was very well recognized in the industry in New Zealand at the time. And actually, when I went and did some analysis and dug into what search terms were showing, not just the keywords, but the search terms, because sports supplements or supplements was in the brand name, ads were showing without realizing quite frequently on the brand name for this business. And it was something like 75, 80% of the tracked revenue through Google Ads actually came from branded searches. And when you took that out and split the branded activity into its own reporting and sort of said, well, what's left over? The vast majority of the spend was coming from generic terms like protein powder or pre-workouts or whatever the case might be. And the actual conversion rate and return on ad spend and return on investment was very, very poor. In most cases, it was actually negative what we were getting. And so we worked out pretty quick that the key thing for this business was actually really to focus on trying to grow the brand recognition in the industry. That was actually going to lead to better results. But what happened is that the agency was a bit lazy. They didn't really realize, or maybe they were even doing it to hide what was actually going on and just showing high level reporting at the campaign and ad group level. Basically, the inclusion of branded terms not broken out into their own campaign overestimated or sort of overshowed the performance. And so you want to be really wary of this. If you're going to advertise on your brand name on Google Ads, set up a campaign that has your brand name and any variations as the keywords for that campaign, and then use negative keywords to block your brand name from any of your other campaigns that you have running. So if you've got, product types or service type campaigns running or different location campaigns, block your brand name from all of those. So anything brand name related goes into your brand name campaign. And you can have a few different ad groups in it for different services or locations or whatever. I don't mind how you structure it, but the key thing is rope off, draw a circle around anything branded so you can see the impact. And you can also see what branded terms are costing you per click. That's another consideration when you weigh up, is it worth advertising your brand name or not? Sometimes brand name terms can cost, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents a click. Sometimes they cost a whole lot more. And so then you can look at it and actually say, hey, is this making sense? If it's only costing $50 or $100 a month out of a, $2,000 or $3,000 budget or whatever you're spending, so it's a fraction of your overall budget to secure your own brand name like Pizza Hut has done here, and also then have the advantage of being able to tailor your messaging more effectively. That's one big advantage with paid ads versus organic. With your organic listing in Google, yes, you can change your page title or meta title and page description, meta description, but Google won't always honor that and it won't update immediately. Whereas with Google search ads, if I want to tell you about a special offer I'm running, I want to tell you about a deal I've got on, I want to tell you about a new product or service, I want to explain something, I'm paying Google for that privilege. And so I can actually put the messaging forward that I want to put forward. And you can see pretty much here that Pizza Hut is trying to do that with their ads. They're actually telling you a lot more about the different types of pizzas they've got available, the sides that are available, the fact that you can do contactless delivery, which is still big for a lot of people, contactless pickup. Whereas here, their organic appearance in brand search is a lot more kind of generic. Heaps of delicious pizzas. Well, I actually prefer the messaging on the paid side, all the different types I can order, all the different sides, those kind of things. And so you can use your paid branded ads if you know that people are searching your brand name to shape your messaging and sculpt your messaging more effectively and actually communicate if you've got special offers or sales or anything like that. So long story short, there can be some big advantages to advertising for your brand name. One other reason to do it is to actually defend your brand name from competitors. Now, back in the past, and the reason I made this particular search for Pizza Hut as well, is because for quite a long period of time, if you searched Pizza Hut in NZ, at least where I was searching, Domino's would run an ad on the Pizza Hut brand name above Pizza Hut. And so they would run an ad with a really aggressive coupon. It was like 40% off all orders or something like that. And I imagine that they would have got quite a lot of business from people who are searching Pizza Hut, hungry for pizza. They see a 40% off Domino's coupon. Okay, Domino's is going to have to pay more per click because their quality score will be low for advertising on a competitor's brand name. But they probably did the calculation, at least at the time, that it might have been worth it to try and capture business. That seems to have been turned off. So maybe they've done some more analysis or that stopped working. I'm not too sure. I can't comment on that. But certainly from Pizza Hut's perspective, they've started to advertise on their brand name to push the competitors out as well, because your business is your business, right? Google kind of understands that. So if you advertise on your own brand name, you tend to pay a whole lot less per click and get basically better distribution and better presence than your competitors will get, because Google ultimately wants to try and return relevant results. And if I search for Pizza Hut, maybe if Domino's is willing to pay, Google says, well, we're going to take that money, of course, but I have still searched for Pizza Hut. That's the most relevant thing to show me. So as long as Pizza Hut's advertising, they're typically going to get a pretty good showing. Doesn't always work like that. In some instances, competitors will advertise very, very aggressively on each other's brand names. I've got a client at the moment who's selling a particular software as a service in the IT industry. And it's just amazing how aggressive all the different competitors are advertising on each other's brand names. It seems to be the vast majority of the activity is just competing on that brand name level. If I look for a particular software that I tend to use for reporting on digital marketing, and I go and search for that, it's called Slido, you can see here that they do have a branded ad. It's not a particularly good one, and then they've got their organic listing here, but you've actually got competitors showing up above, and potentially that's because those competitors are willing to pay a whole load more money and bid more aggressively just to show up above the Slido ad. But if they didn't have that brand name ad at all, they might be missing out. With something a bit more I guess, specific. You're not going to search for Slido unless you know what it is. It's not something that you just search for because you're a bit hungry or want lunch or dinner like Pizza Hut. You've really got to test this kind of strategy. Is it worth advertising on your own brand name or not? But certainly, if it's not costing you too much, it's something to consider looking at doing. The main thing is to rope your activity off into its own campaign so you can really assess it. Is it working? How much is it costing you per click? If it's costing you 50% of your budget to get traffic you would have probably got from an organic search, even if you've got competitors muscling in and you lose a bit, it might still be better off because you don't know what those competitor clicks are doing. If I'm searching for Slido specifically, maybe I'll check out Funnel or Dash This, but I still am probably going to go and find Slido directly and check it out as well. It's a more considered purchase, this type of software. With the Pizza Hut example, really what Domino's strategy would have been there is to say, hey, someone's hungry, they want to get pizza for dinner, we'll give them a 40% off coupon or whatever the deal was. And if they order from us, we've won that business in this particular instance. So yeah, should you advertise on your brand name in Google Ads? Long story short, I think it's worth testing. It's definitely worth testing properly rather than finding that you're inadvertently doing it through your other advertising. So make sure you check your search terms report and see if you've already got branded terms coming through. If you're in an industry where competitors are muscling in on brand names like yours via, inputting competitor terms as keywords, then it could be worth doing just because you're generally going to outperform your competitors. This is an example where, at least in this search, Slido, the brand I've searched for, is not outperforming, but it also looks to me like the ads are potentially not structured that well just from the way they've set up some of the advertising. At least they've got some presence there. So it's definitely worth testing. If it's costing you too much, if it's not performing, I'd turn it off, because you're generally going to get that organic performance anyway, especially if you've got something that's more kind of considered purchase. But yeah, if you're in an industry where products are quite interchangeable, with pizza being a good example of that. Pizza Hut and Domino's are both pretty similar. If I just want some cheap pizza fast, either one's going to satisfy me. That's an example of where protecting your brand name via branded advertising on Google Ads might be a better idea. And the other thing to consider as well is that with brand advertising, paid brand advertising in Google, you can tailor your messaging, you can change your ad copy to reflect any sales or promotions or specials or anything like that that's going on in the business. And that can be a really good way to actually get your business firing a bit better through digital marketing. Because with your organic listing, yes, you might get clicks for free, but it's much harder to communicate anything time sensitive because by the time you've updated your page title and description and Google's maybe picked up on it, that sale or special or promo is probably over. So yeah, feel free to ask if in the comment section if you've got any specific questions, if you need any more help. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe for more free Google Ads advice.